Hi there, I'm Jessica Nova, and you're watching Geek Girls Review. Hey, welcome to another episode. Now before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe so that you never miss an episode, especially if I'm doing it. Oh, come on, everybody else is great too. I just know I'm your favorite, right? So what are we going to review today? Well, first of all, just as a friendly reminder, so that you know if you're commenting or if you end up wanting to follow me on my social media, which my social media you can find on Instagram at the Jessica Nova, or you can find me on mygeekglory.com. But just as a reminder, even though this channel is called Geek Girls Review, I identify as non-binary and I need you to use they, them pronouns for me. Okay? Thank you. So, anyway, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about two books. Now, I know that they're, in case the author of these books, there are plenty of negative opinions and founded negative opinions because this author performer has done some appropriative things, and from my thought pattern didn't handle them as well. And when you're in a position of power as this performer and author is, or maybe not even power, at least a place of influence, there is a necessary there's a necessary attention that needs to be given, especially when something happens and there is appropriative behavior. There needs to be a better coming to terms with it, and overall, this performer needs to do better because they are in a place of influence. So we're not going to discuss the performer in that way and the author so much as we're just going to discuss the material of the books and kind of my experience with these books, because one of them is actually I have kind of history with in terms of how it has influenced my life. So we're going to look at these with the understanding that as an outside performer, we're going to blah, 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 blah. We are going to look at the art with the understanding the artist needs to do better. Okay, so we're looking at Dita von Teese's books. So let's start with, I love these books. I truly do. One of them is, it's two different books. So the first, well, not the first, but the first side I ever saw it's the Burlesque and the Art of the Tease. The first time I saw this book in person and got to hold it, I was in college. I was a sophomore in college, and it was in my friend's apartment that I kind of moved into because a lot of weird stuff happened in college. But she had a copy of this, and I remember looking at it, and I lost my mind. There was such beauty and luxury, and just the way the attention to detail was. And I know that, I can't speak for how much of that Dita does by hand, and I just don't want to speak on facts that I don't know about. But as far as just the cultivation of the look, the idea and the process, and just seeing that in here was so inspiring. I had wanted to do burlesque from not knowing what burlesque was, but that type of performance and dance and beauty had always been so important to me growing up and fascinating to me. And so then to find this inspiration from somebody that I hadn't really been exposed to, and to find this book and just see the visual eye candy for someone with the way that a lot of my autism presents, it was what I refer to as eye candy, brain candy. It was just so pleasing and fascinating and just wow. So I remember looking at this book again and again and again and just being continually floored by looking at it. So we're going to take the slip cover off because I'm always afraid I'm going to tear them, because I usually do. Well, I'll show you this half. So, this is the Burlesque, the art of the Tease first. And then even with the slipcover off, like, it's a very beautiful hardcover book. Inside's got a great pop of color. So, I also don't necessarily agree with everything in the book as far as the writing and stuff, but what I do enjoy about the book is, because like right here, don't call me a stripper, I have feelings about the word stripper. I mean, they're both art forms. That's the thing, is they're both art. Like, one does not have more value than the other. So I think that just becomes a negative way to approach it. And I understand that that's in there more as like there's a difference, and it's more of just trying to understand like what the art of each is. But sometimes I think that there can be a lot of bullshit in the industry of looking down on other forms of sex work, which is gross, and we just don't fucking do. But anyway, costume wise, art wise, detail wise, fascinating. I love the photography. I love the setup. I love a lot of the breakdown. I also love, like, here, there's like Dita facts. 5'6". Corseted waist, 16 inches at this point in her life. Natural waist, 22 inches. Bust, signature lipstick, birth date, favorite city. I think there's so much to be exposed to and inspired by in here in a visual sense. But if you're looking for a book to learn about burlesque, this isn't the one I would suggest. You know, I think this book is enjoyable and has a great bit of information on the way that Dita approaches the art form, and I think that's great. But it is not the only way, and there are problems with the way that Dita approaches it. So I think that I would recommend this book if you wanted to enjoy the art. If you wanted to learn about Dita, I think it's great for that. You know, I think it has a lot of merit in that. It's just that also, this is not the only opinion, and this is not the only person, and this is kind of one bit of exposure and not necessarily the best. But especially if you prefer, not even if you prefer, but if you're more drawn to like a brunette look, and you don't necessarily, like, because I felt that when I was first getting into burlesque, I saw a lot of the beautiful and blonde, like, look. And so Dita is another example of not necessarily a variety in body type, but as far as like seeing brunette and color patterns that work with that hairstyle. I think that if you kind of see yourself represented in the way that Dita styles herself, then it's a great book, because you can get ideas for color palette. I like to do a lot of dark wigs, so looking at this book, I can kind of get an idea of how some of these colors might look if I were to style them. So it can be helpful in that. But the problem is that in this book, there is no other kind of diversity. If you are looking at it for costumes and inspiration, you're only getting one viewpoint, and I just don't know that it's the best for that. I think it actually kind of can be detrimental in a way. But again, it is beautiful, and I find it, I find it to be captivating from a photo sense. Oh, Midwest is in here. Just so many gorgeous things. And then, so the great thing about this book is, in being I love to see all the different colors and some of the props. So, the book, though, does not only include the burlesque, right? the other side, not quite half, like the burlesque half is more of the book, but there's a lot of Dita's fetish photography, which I also think is great visual candy and can be inspiring. Again, it is one approach to fetish and fetish modeling, and there's not a lot of diversity, and it can actually, you know, potentially be detrimental to only be exposed to one type of look and body type, and just not having that diversity, it makes it feel like fetish can't be for, like fetish modeling couldn't be for you if you were interested. So I don't like that, and I don't like that it can trigger that. But again, if this is like, if you can kind of get inspiration from this in a way that is useful, then it's great for that. Like it is. And if you can find that in the color palette, in terms of like some of the noir style, it is just beautiful. So I think visually it can be a great source. It's just, again, only one type of body. And so I just think, there might, not even there might, there are better books with more diversity if you're looking for inspiration. But again, it can be excellent for that. It's gorgeous. It's one that I am glad that I own. So, having been exposed to that quite some time ago. Oh, I'll put the book upside down. Hold on. The other book, and is the one I actually owned first, but hadn't been exposed to, is Dita's Your Beauty Mark. So again, visually, like, this is one when the slipcover comes off, because the slipcover is great, but like, this is iconic. Let's just talk about this. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So, you has this Cruella de Vil vibe though, which again kind of makes sense, because for all of the information in here that I think is like wonderful. I love that her cat Alistair is in here, and like if you follow any of Dita's stuff, Dita's cat Alistair, I can't speak, like I'm not gonna tout off a bunch of facts, but as far as like the relationship that was kind of put forth on social media, it was like this was her baby, and I truly believe that is like a cat mom. And I believe it was 2020. We both lost our cats around the same time, so it was kind of interesting just to see somebody that had been so inspiring to me at different parts of my life, in terms of fashion, in terms of like the look presented and the way that she approaches burlesque, in that just is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. Anyway, it kind of having that similarity in there was, anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I love that she's a cat person and that her cat is in here, and that makes this even more important, because seeing photos in here and kind of having that same connection, I feel like I immediately think of my cat that I lost. So, yay, thinking about my cat. This book makes me think of my cat. That is my review. Anyway, adorable, right? So this book, I wish that they were the same shape. From I kind of like the difference in shape in terms of looking at on a bookshelf, but also I kind of would assume they would be kind of the same styling, so that they could look the same together. I don't know. It seemed kind of weird. Like I expected more of a volume type, and then these are two very different types of books. The way that she approaches things in here is very, very different, and it's different types of information. It's how she approaches style. So, just weird, nitpicky things. Make your beauty mark and the piece will fall into place. So there's a lot of her thoughts in terms of just, it's interesting the information that she puts in here. So I think that there's a lot to kind of understand, I find it fascinating. I think that's really what it is the things that are chosen to be in here from this book. This is kind of like it's an empowered book. It's meant to be empowering. It's kind of meant to be inspiring. There is a lot of conversation in here. There's a lot of absolutely gorgeous art. Gorgeous art. The information, you kind of have to understand that it's not really written to be super accessible to everybody, and I think that that's kind of shitty. Like, it's interesting that she puts workouts in here. Like, I think that in concept, this is awesome. But then when I start to look at it more critically, and I see that there's not a lot of it feels like there's not a lot of awareness that this is not the only type of body and style and accessibility. But then again, also she's trying to write from experience, and that it's confusing. It's confusing to me. I feel like I don't have the best voice to speak on it anymore, and that's kind of where it is it feels strange, but also I may be looking for something that, like, maybe she's not looking for a variety in audience, and anyway, it's hard to judge books for me, because honestly, I just want to look at the photos. Like, this is gorgeous, and as an artist, I'm looking at this for the color palette. I'm looking at for the angle. I'm looking at how the lighting looks, how the contour is, how does she contour her nose, and what are the things that I enjoy about it. I love that the background's out of focus. So for me, things like this give my brain something to chew on when I'm thinking of photo shoots and lighting and styles. Like this style, this kind of glowy 70s warm light, I love. And then I also kind of see what shapes I like, because for me, I'm seeing a body that is similar to mine, so that I can use this book in that way. The problem is that I just think that seems unfair, that it's only that. Like, this, I feel like a performer with this amount of influence, if you're going to make a book that's helpful, it should be helpful to more than just people that look like you. Because then what are you doing except kind of pandering the same problem that's in burlesque anyway, which is that there's not the diversity in casting and the attention to accessibility that there should be. Anyway, I have a lot of soapbox concerns, but aesthetically, it's beautiful. Again, some of the information is just stupid, but I love the look. I love the look. I love the art. I love the fashion. I love the fascination with her approach to things. I think it's kind of an interesting look into Dita, and that, again, is worth the read in that way. For me, in my opinion. God, some of these are just cool. And in this book, see, I haven't looked at this in some time. In this book is the outfit that she wore that is incredibly inappropriate and appropriative. Yeah, so I just it's just wrong. It's just wrong, and yuck. It, like, seeing that in here, because I forgot that that is in here, it almost kind of fucks up the end of the book, because you look at that and you're like, God, man. Like, yikes. But outside of that, yeah, that totally kills my review. Like I said, I forgot that the costume in question is in this book, and it makes it difficult now to look at the book. Anyway, but like I said, beyond that, I've given my thoughts anyway. I would, if I were to suggest one of the two, I would pick up the Burlesque and the Art of the Tease, because you get both sides. You get exposed to tons of very incredible art, and some of the opinion is not there. And I think that it is overall a more inspiring tool. But again, like I said, there are better history of burlesque books. There are books that have more diverse consideration, and I wish I had the list for you, but unless you're looking for art, or you are a Dita fan, which I get in a lot of ways, it's just there has to be a real discussion there of what's problematic and how to do better. But anyway, that is my opinion. These are the books. I do enjoy them. There's just, can't ignore certain problems. So, sorry, itchy nose. I had a great time talking with you. I hope that you check these out. I hope that if you're looking to read more about burlesque, that you check out more well-rounded books with a more honest look at the history of burlesque. And yeah, have a great night. Make sure you like, subscribe. Even if it's day, have a great night. And I'm Jessica Nova. Follow me on I'm Jessica Nova. You can follow me on Instagram at @TheJessicaNova. You can also follow me on My Geek Glory. You can find My Geek Glory on Instagram. You can also go to mygeekglory.com, and you will see photo sets of me, guess what, photos of me in and out of costume. So again, have a great whatever time of day it is, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.